Hey, I want to welcome our golfers to a monthly series that we have here. And it's really I know for golfers, hole in one is one of the highlights of anybody's career. But another highlight doesn't come early in your career, it comes late in your career. That is how to shoot your age. We all inspire to do certain things, milestones in golf. And our guest has a monthly podcast, and he's going to prepare you to really shoot your age sooner than later or at all. Because if you're not physically prepared, you're not going to have the chances to shoot that age. And with Francisco, with his experience in exercise and nutrition and a Ph.D., digging deep into these areas, he's going to be able to give you these insights. We're always going to give you 3 tips. They were going to be free by tuning in. So we always want you to subscribe so you'll be able to get advance notice on the 3 tips. And then if you want to dig deeper or accelerate your ability to shoot your age before you expire, then Francisco is available. And he's available, and we'll put him in the show notes, and we'll discuss it. So, Francisco, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me again.
Yes, and just for our new viewers, introduce yourself, who you are, and who you serve out there, so they know who they're listening to if they're one of our new viewers.
Yeah, well, so I work as a wellness coach, and I've been in the personal training, private consulting of nutrition, anti-aging medicine field for more than 16 years now. 10 of those recently in New York, and now in Atlanta, Georgia. But with technology, I pretty much serve everywhere. I got my PhD in exercise physiology. You were right, and I studied several certification for nutrition, more clinical, and I got hooked by the application of what the high performance athletes and all that knowledge, how that can be applied to regular people as they age. So it's kind of like being a professional athlete, regardless of the sponsor, right? You treat yourself a lot like this machine that is your body and your mind and everything. So it's pretty rewarding because people do and achieve things that they thought that they wouldn't.
You know, it's exciting at this time in our history or whatever, that the amount of information and the ability for us to control our physical, how we are able to do things. I know when I first saw you, you introduced me to Dr. Peter Attias, and I've geeked out on that guy. Mm-hmm. I've listened to so much, read it. I have his book on audio. So we're going to get into the 3 tips that you can give our viewers. Really, what would be your first tip in understanding how to shoot your age? So
one that is, it first goes indirectly to your golf game, will be your mindset. There's actually studies, and many of those. I just refreshed my memory by reading one from Michigan State. Is the whole mindfulness. When you apply systematically and you actually develop the ability to practice mindfulness and meditation, 20 minutes, it could be every day, it could be particularly before your game. They observe, not with golfers, but this applies to golfers, they observe that people are better at learning from mistakes, legit learning, and to be calm, collected, and keep concentration. Now, concentration is to keep our focus sustainably, on the same topic for a sustained period of time, right? Mm-hmm. So you are about to go to to play golf, and you have been already framing your mindset, and then you are in that state where you are calm and collected, not nervous, but activated. That what we see in professionals, right? And then when things don't go exactly as planned, which happened, you see how professionals, they keep calm and collected because they're gathering data. They don't identify with the mistake. They are analyzing data, and mindfulness help you do that. So that would be one tip, to really work on that. To have the eye of the tiger in the course, right?
Yeah.
Second one, it would be exercise-wise. the action of the swing requires explosive strength. And explosive strength is important to keep brain and muscles are connected and they fire in an explosive manner, but with precision. So it's a very interesting movement. And that core action, that twist movement with your base static, there's some exercises for the core. If you are in a gym and you have a trainer or something like that, there's like the twist exercises with medicinal balls. I particularly, I'm a friend of getting your clubs and grab that or grab things that are similar in grip. So you are really using the same motion, but it's the twist where the body goes, upper body going one direction and the lower body stays static or the other direction. And there's an exercise that if you Google it, it's called dead bug. You're facing up, right? And then you're changing your limbs, coordinating your limbs in opposite direction. And you can actually feel how you're activating all these diagonal forces in your core. That would be another one. And the third one is not so, you can implement it. You cannot implement it immediately. This is to make sure that you are keeping your body fat percentage on point, your body composition. This has a health component that it sounds like too basic, but if you think about it, when you are aging suboptimally, you start accumulating fat, and that has detrimental effects inflammatory wise. You're going to be more achy, you're going to be more winded out there, and when you're winded, your precision and your smooth movement suffer. And when you have inflammation and you don't have optimal body composition, it is proven that your brain is not at their best. So back to the mindfulness. So it sounds like condescending, so people take it, but you need to be lean and athletic to play golf. It's not just because most people, or you see most people in the group age that is not 20, okay? That doesn't mean that you have to treat yourself like you are like, oh, I'm a grandpa, now I'm retired. No, I'm retired. No, I'm going to be to my best right now. So those are the three: mindfulness, core exercise, explosive strength, body composition.
That's really good. I'll have to say the mindfulness, I can relate to that just for our golfers. And I know you're more into the core, the basics of it, because you can apply what you're teaching to any sport. But we have our golfing audience out there. So let me just kind of
I've been reading more golf because of the podcast significantly more.
Absolutely. And there's no things are basic in all sports. And the mindfulness, just for our golfers, we did a podcast on this, and it was, the mindfulness is playing in a match play. You have a partner, and everybody knows how we sit up on the tee, and we've all done this. We hope our partner is going to hit the shot. And then when the partner doesn't hit the shot, you're disappointed. So mentally go, oh man, Francisco, why'd you screw up? In your mind, you're not saying this, but so I want to challenge our golfers in the mindfulness areas. Think that you're playing 1-on-2. Never, always play your ball the whole time. And whatever your partner does, that's gravy or icing on the cake. That way you're mentally sharp the whole round.
That's interesting.
And you're thinking hey, look, if he cuts me a shot, that's gravy. But it's up to you to play mentally sharp up there through that round. I know, let me ask you a question on the core. So what can you recommend to our viewers that, are looking for some additional information? Is there anything that you can, and we can also put them in the show notes, and anything that they can grab onto that helps them to really focus on that core?
Also, we said that those dead bags and torso twist with cable or with bands, planks are very good. And I will say that if you, those are generic exercises applying similar motion to golf. Then if you stand up and you adopt exactly the same angle in your knees, and then you're leaning forward exactly like you're about to execute your swing, in that moment you can have your band attached to something up there and do the movement. That would be getting more progressively more specific to your motion, because that stability of the lower limbs, the legs, and being able to explode but not losing composure or things like that, it will bring that. But and again, think about the swing is not a lot of strength per se. It's the speed, right? And we see, like, the beginners like me, you try to execute with too much power and you just dig holes. And you relax a little bit and then you feel that swing, but it goes fast. So at the gym, you have to mimic, you have to become stronger. That will make you stronger only. Your precision will suffer, but then you refine that by doing, again, the exercises with less resistance, but looking for precision. And if people have a simulator, like a digital one that the people have, that's a good place to, even maybe with some resistance, to do some drills and then go back to that, just to do the real swing with your club. You do it with the bands next to that, and then you go there. That's the transfer, right? So what you are doing, what is this for? And then you're there, instead of bringing a gym to the course.
Yeah, there's that. That's awesome. And I have to share with our viewers kind of a well-kept secret. The PGA Superstore has this, I think it's in different areas, it may be, but I have it, it's $150 a year, and it gives me a half hour in the bays with video analysis. And it gives me all the data based on the TrackMan data. So I think what you're saying is we can take, what you're teaching as far as those core exercises, and then you can see your swing speed getting better, your, just different things, your explosion, because if you can see it, it makes it a little bit easier to understand how you're progressing through the areas you're talking about, is building that core that's so strong that, it's able to get that force into the shot. And of course, obviously injury free, exactly. The more your core, the less likely you're going to be injured. Let me ask you a question. As you went to number 3 and you were talking about, body fat and different things as far as what's going into your body. I have a PT that I started going to, and we were talking yesterday about sugar and salt. And he was equating it to our habits, like going to Chick-fil-A and ordering the chicken sandwich. Was nothing wrong with it, but it's fried at 150 degrees in grease, and then the salt on the French fries. Can you share with our viewers really sugar and salt, what your understanding of how it can help us if we
believe it or not, if you have to choose to tackle one, because again, we are going to be, some people might feel stretched too thin, like I have to control all these things. So you control sugar first.
Okay.
Almost like if you focus on first of all, on understanding sugar is not necessarily only table sugar or sugar added to things.
Yes.
Sugar is what any carbohydrate boils down to in your body, right? Bread ends up being glucose in your blood. So does a strawberry, an orange, the breading of the bread, of the chicken. So does candy. So does chips. Believe it or not, people say, no, I don't like sweet. I'm more a savory person. I like chips. What do you think chips are? Chips are carbohydrates that have been dressed with other spices, but it's carbohydrate. So if you focus on that, the problem with the bombarding our body with carbohydrates and process it, and we didn't mention the oil that they cook those processed food is part of the problem too. It's inflammatory. All that create insulin resistance, and insulin resistance is the early stages of what will be pre-diabetes, which is the early stages of what will be full-blown diabetes. But it starts with insulin resistance. And that already is a little bit more complicated, but that already tell us that there's inflammation going on, that your body is in a storage mode, is resistant to lose weight, because the message of insulin is not to lose weight. Is changing the way your metabolism works. And that is the culprit of many of the other alterations. And when you know inflammation, that things do not go well. And one thing that I talk about body composition, which is directly linked with insulin resistance.
Mm-hmm.
You can be normal weight. You can have insulin resistance. So inside, you have less muscle than you should and more fat. But outside and on the scale, you look the same. That is, they call it normal weight obesity. And one thing that is very simple is if you are too chubby or big, or you are not controlling your body composition, your technique, your biomechanics is going to change. And we know that there's a lot of biomechanics in golf, a lot. So here you are, if you have all this new fat around your shoulder, your chest, your armpit, now you cannot, you are a different person.
Right.
That you could be. Imagine that you put a famous golfer, good for the swing, you put one of those fake chubby suits, like a costume. It's not the same. It's more difficult. They're blocked. So now they cannot execute what they could. So I mean, they will still be professional, because the professional are at a different level and they adapt things quickly, but it's more difficult. So yeah, if you have to worry about the sugar or salt, tackle sugar first, and everything will. Because there's even studies that for some people the salt is not related with blood pressure. Believe it or not, they did people with blood pressure. They took salt, and it doesn't change. But some people do. However, sugar, everybody becomes insulin resistant with age.
That's really, I know I don't have the willpower, so I don't keep it in my apartment. I just don't buy
That's a very good point, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, if it's there, it like calls my name, but I don't.
And this, as you know, this dig deeper. It's not that you will never ever again eat carbohydrates. Yeah. There's a way to do it.
Yes,
just the disciplines and the principle behind it.
Yeah, and I love it that we have strategies for our golfers. So just to recap for our viewers, mindset, have to be aware of mindset. The core, your core is going to be able to keep you injury free and give you the explosive power. And then the last is really that body, what you're putting in your body has a direct result to the fat that accumulates in your body, and you have to be aware of that. So we'll give our viewers some links in the show notes. And we also know how we met was with Partner MD.
Yeah.
You started educating me on really what I needed to be thinking about. You introduced me to Glucose Revolution, to Peter Attias, it's Outlive.
Yep,
Outlive. I first looked at that when you showed it to me. That book was about 3 inches thick or something. It was big. And I'm going, what? I can't read a book but
I have a lot of patience.
You dive into it. I have listened to at least 100 of his videos. Yeah. So even though I've read through audio his book, he's incredible. The guy has got about, and I would never have met him if I hadn't been there with you at, as you were helping me understand the basics of getting going and starting.
So, if you're in Georgia, this is a place to go. I will see you.
Yes, absolutely. We'll put a link in the show notes for the people that really want, and I call it like concierge approach to medicine. It's really that education, that personal touch.
I mean, you have a doctor and you have a wellness coach, in this case, me.
Yes. And I've never had a wellness coach in my life. I've always just.
And we're teaming up. That's another thing that I love of that place is I read your chart.
Yeah.
The doctors know, the doctor read my chart, and we're in the same building. We're actually teaming up in a coordinated manner. So.
Yeah. And just for our viewers, I fell and did something to I did a face plant, but on my ribs. And then 2 hours later, I couldn't breathe. And I called you and you walked me through kind of what to expect. It's like, I had never done that before. So I'd never really understood, the thinking behind what you shared with us. And it was really good because I knew
what happened, right?
Yeah, it was like, I think you said like, hey, there's not much you can do. We can put a bandage if you break an arm, but when you do something to your ribs, you got to suck it up because you got to keep breathing.
Yeah,
I love what you said, like, if you can't breathe, go to the emergency room. He said, but if you're going to have to breathe, so it's going to be painful. So a little Tylenol and
it give you reverence and respect for combat sport when you think about it. They hit and they are like this many times. Yeah, I have one in my time, one in my life. I suffered something similar. It's horrible. Well, Pete.
Okay, well, thank you
so
much. We wanted to give those 3 tips. We'll put it in the show notes, and we want to encourage our viewers, if they want a deeper dive into help with you, there'll be your link in there in the show notes, and they can get a hold of you and seek out some additional one-on-one or one-on, whatever. But definitely tune in next month because Francisco's always thinking of 3 simple tips that you can use to shoot your age before you expire.
Awesome.
Thank you, Francisco. Appreciate you being with us.